that there's a lot of people who are terrified to get married for a lot of different reasons. And we wanted to touch on this topic because I think there was a time where we were hesitant or maybe not even thinking about marriage when we were growing up because of our past, because of the things that we experienced. So we wanted to have an episode where we dedicate that to those who are fearful of marriage and just discuss why and how you can overcome them. Talking about topics that can really bring people together rather than separating them. So anytime you're doing stuff the right way, you see that slow progression. Right. But when you're doing what everybody else is doing, you see that immediate gratification. So sometimes it can get hard, not even just in a podcast game, but anything in life. When you're trying to do things the right way and you're standing on principles, you're standing on morals and values, but you see everybody else blowing up pretty quickly. Sometimes you can get caught up in trying to do what everybody else is doing. But like I said, because a lot of times people are hesitant to walk up to us. I know a lot of times people will say to me, like,
so moving right along to our keeping it real moment. You want to keep it real?
No, I do have a keep it real moment. This is about something that I'm thankful for. And it aligns with the work that we do now. Because the other day I was having a talk with Leah because she's in middle school. You know, they out here interested in boys, thinking about dating and all that type of stuff. And when I was in my office, she came down and she sat down and just started talking to me about dating. Now, it's very uncomfortable. Like, listen, I try to prepare myself for this mentally, but it's uncomfortable, but I don't let it show externally. But I was just happy that she came and talked to us. And one thing that I was thankful that she said was, I know whenever I have questions about relationships, I can come to you and Ma and ask about it. Because I see the type of marriage y'all have. And I know the work that you're doing. And to me, that meant a lot because I'm the type of man that my daughters can come to about dating advice. Because there's so many men out there who daughters won't come to them because they see how they treat women. They see how they treat their mom. So when it comes to talking about dating, they're trying to find somebody that is the exact opposite of their dad. Whereas my daughters are looking for somebody who is like me, who holds the same values that I have. And I take pride in doing that because I know the work that I had to do in order to become that man that my girls can look up to and say, listen, if they don't have similar values to dad, then I don't want it. And so many men are missing out on that opportunity to be that example for their daughters or even for their sons because they're so caught up in what society is telling them that a man is, or they haven't healed from their past trauma or the things that they went through in the past. And the decisions that we make as men don't just impact us, they impact our generations that come after us. That's the one thing I told Leah. I told Leah this. Any man that creates distance between you and God is not a good man. It's one thing if he's doing things on his own before he gets into a relationship, he gonna have to deal with the consequences on his own.
Right.
But when a woman is trusting his leadership and he's leading her in the exact opposite direction of God, then that's how you know it's not a good man, because a man should have a relationship with God that allows you to have a closer relationship with God. So if he ever tells you or tries to get you to do something that is not of God's word, that's the type of man that you don't need to be around. And when I look back at when we first started dating, that's where I was going wrong. When it came to drinking, when it came to parties, it's like, I was doing that before you. And I know you was doing that before me too. But the moment that we came together, I should have understood my position and my leadership role. And I should have said, you know what? I have to stop doing these things, or I have to leave Asha alone completely because I'm taking her further and further away. And if God is entrusting me with her, I need to be going the other direction and bringing us closer to God. So to be able to have those type of deep conversations with your teenager, when most don't even want to talk about what they're going through, I was definitely thankful for that.
Yeah, I feel like that's awesome. Because one, being a woman and at a time a young girl, having a dad and being able to have a relationship with your dad to talk about certain things, I think that's so important.
Yeah.
Because you can get a certain perspective from your mom where you can relate to, but being able to understand what the opposite sex is thinking and even just feeling that comfortable to be that vulnerable with your father is such a precious moment. And so I think that's beautiful in itself that you're building those relationships to have those conversations with your daughters, because it's impactful and it's going to help them into their womanhood in the long run. And I definitely feel like it ties into the conversation that we're having today, because like I said, a lot of women don't get to have that opportunity. And so I think that kind of trickles into your relationship at times where it's like, maybe if you had that sound advice beforehand from your father, from your dad, or from a father figure that could provide you that information that make you feel a little bit more prepared and secured within not only yourself, but when you get into that relationship, it could be very impactful. And so I think that's big that you are having those conversations now, because it's going to set them up for a positive future.
Yeah. So let's get into today's topic, because we had posted a couple of videos, and a common theme that I was seeing in the comments was, I'm scared of marriage. That there's a lot of people who are terrified to get married for a lot of different reasons. And we wanted to touch on this topic because I think there was a time where we were hesitant, or maybe not even thinking about marriage when we were growing up, because of our past, because of the things that we experienced. So we wanted to have an episode where we dedicate that to those who are fearful of marriage, and just discuss why and how you can overcome it. So for you, tell me your thoughts on marriage when you were growing up. Were you ever scared about committing to one person for the rest of your life?
It sounds so daunting. I wouldn't say I was scared. I feel like I honestly, when I look back, I don't think I put that much thought into it. Like I didn't put that much thought into marriage in general, just because when I grew up with a lot of toxicity around me. I seen a lot of toxic, unhealthy, not happy relationships.
Right.
And so I didn't really look at marriage, but a relationship in general, as something positive. Right. Because I didn't see that. And so when you would speak of marriage, or we would speak of marriage, I didn't have I'm looking for marriage like most or some women had, where it's like, I planned out my whole wedding before. You know, I didn't have that. No, I never thought that. And so I wasn't necessarily scared. It was just like, I pushed it kind of to the back of my mind. Like, if it happens, it happens, but I'm not looking for it to happen. So I think that's pretty much where my stance was on it growing up. What about you?
So for me, I think I was in a similar boat as you. I didn't see a lot of toxic relationships or marriage, because my parents got divorced again when I was in third grade, 8 years old. And it was like, one day everything was good. The next thing, it was all bad. Yeah. So I didn't get to witness things except for one big blow up that resulted in the divorce of my parents. So I didn't grow up scared to get married. I was like you. And I wasn't, if it happens, it happens. It was, what's the point of doing it? Yeah. I don't see the benefits in doing anything like that. And it wasn't until I surrounded myself with people who were married where I actually started to think about it. And that's what I try to tell people all the time, is that I think that if I would have grew up in the social media age, how things are now, I would have been scared of marriage. Because everything that we see when it comes to social media, TV, music, is painting marriage in a negative light. So a lot of people are fearful of getting married based off of other people's experiences with marriage. Right.